Welcome to another deep dive. You know how this works, right? We take a subject that you want to really get a grasp on, and, well, we dive deep. And that's exactly what we're doing today with this book that you recommended, .com Secrets, the underground playbook for growing your company online. You might know the author, Russell Brunson.
Yeah, Russell Brunson and Dan Kennedy, actually. Dan Kennedy wrote the foreword for this book.
Oh, that's right.
And it's kind of funny. He starts off right away talking about the title. He's basically saying, don't let that .com thing throw you off. Like, the whole book is about the internet stuff.
Hmm.
But the stuff he's highlighting, it's really all about good marketing. It's
Mhm.
about how to get people interested in what you're selling and then actually get them to buy. And that applies to everything, online or if you've got like a real store, a brick and mortar place.
Right.
Yeah, he really wants you to get that this book is all about the structure of marketing, how to make it work in this crazy digital world we're in now.
And Brunson, he kicks things off by talking about his time with FitLife.tv. Now, you'd think their biggest problem would be getting enough people to their website or maybe turning those visitors into actual buyers. But no, Brunson, he found out the real issue wasn't at the top of that funnel at all. It was the sales funnel itself. And that right there, that's like a preview of what we're going to be getting into today.
Totally. And it's interesting to see where Brunson's ideas about marketing come from. He talks about how he first learned about direct response marketing, and it wasn't online. It was things like Don Lapry's infomercials and classified ads. I mean, you think about that now, and it feels so old school.
Yeah.
But those things, they taught him some really important stuff early on. He saw that you could put something out there and offer and
Yeah.
then see how people reacted. You could actually measure the response.
Yeah.
And if it worked, you could just do more of it,
Yeah.
make it bigger. It's a very direct approach focused on results.
Yeah, it's about that direct link between what you do and what happens because of it. And all his early work with online business just reinforced those ideas. He saw the internet as this new space to use those same principles, but with different tools, like email instead of letters, online ads instead of those newspaper classifieds. The way you do it changes, but the way people think and why they buy, a lot of that stays the same.
Absolutely. And Brunson's clear about what he wants this book to do.
Yeah?
He wants to give you the tools to build your sales process, to actually provide something valuable to your audience, to talk to them in a way that they get, and at the end of the day, to get paid what you're worth. It's all about creating a business that's sustainable, that makes money, by really thinking through each step a customer takes.
And he's not just talking the talk here, he's walking the walk. Brunson's very clear that he actually uses these strategies himself in all sorts of different businesses, supplements, coaching programs, software, you name it. And the fact that he spent 6 years as the main internet marketing guy for Dan Kennedy and Bill Glazer, these huge names in direct marketing, that really adds weight to what he's saying. He's seen these principles work for tons of businesses online and offline.
And that brings us to why we're doing this deep dive for you. It's to break down some of these core marketing secrets that Brunson shares. And it's not just about the technical stuff, the how-tos. It's more about the big picture thinking behind it. We want to help you understand how to structure your approach to customers, how you interact with them, so you can see more success in whatever you're doing.
Okay, so let's dive into this, starting with something that might seem super basic, but Brunson says it's absolutely crucial, figuring out your dream client. He says the first question shouldn't be about what you're selling, but who you actually want to work with.
And the interesting thing is how much he focuses on that human element. He says these are the people you're going to be dealing with all the time, maybe even more than your friends and family. So choosing them, it should be a big deal, almost like picking a partner. It's not just about who's going to pay you. It's about who's going to make building your business enjoyable, actually make you happy to do the work. So it's not just about who you sell to, but who you build a business with. Because those are the relationships that are going to get you through the tough times and make the whole thing more rewarding.
And he's really serious about the bad things that can happen if you don't make this choice. You can end up with clients who are always needy, never happy, and you end up feeling drained and regretting the whole business. It's a quick way to burn out, even if you're making money.
Right. And to help you figure out who your dream client is, Brunson has these 4 questions. First one, who are your dream clients? Like, really get specific here. Think about their demographics, their psychographics. What are their hopes and fears? Then, how can you find them? Where do they hang out? Online, offline? What groups are they part of? Third question, what bait are you going to use to attract them? This is that initial thing you offer, something valuable that grabs their attention and makes them want more. And finally, what result do you want to give them? This goes beyond just the sale. It's about the change you want to help them achieve.
He even says, and I'm quoting here, "I know that this exercise seems simple, but it is the key to everything else we will be discussing in this book." He's setting the stage for a much more strategic and intentional way to build a business.
He is. And once you have that foundation, Brunson introduces this idea of the value ladder.
Hmm.
Think of it like building different levels of offers, each one offering more value and costing more. He has this great example, a story about going to a new dentist.
Right, the free cleaning to get him in the door. Then, the dentist saw he had slightly yellow teeth and offered a solution, custom whitening trays. And Brunson points out that this could easily lead to even more expensive cosmetic work down the line.
What I find so interesting is how a basic service, like a teeth cleaning, can be the start of all these other services that are worth more and
Yeah.
make more money. The point of the value ladder is that you're not just selling things, you're guiding customers on a journey. Each step gives them value, but also naturally leads to the next step.
And he has another example about his friend, Dr. Chad Woolner, a chiropractor. At first, Chad was mainly doing adjustments, but Brunson saw that Chad knew a lot about nutrition and natural healing, stuff that could help with things like fibromyalgia and carpal tunnel syndrome. That's way more value. And the point is, lots of businesses only use a small part of their potential value ladder.
That's so important for you to think about. A lot of businesses have their main product, their core service, but they haven't explored how to keep serving those same customers with even more valuable things. The value ladder lets you cater to all sorts of needs and budgets, and naturally leads those dream clients, the ones who are ready to invest more, to your high-end offers.
So it's about starting with something small, something people are comfortable with, then consistently giving them value at each step. And as they move through your funnel, as they trust you more, you introduce those more valuable and often more expensive things.
Exactly. And the internet, it's made it so much easier to connect with what Brunson calls congregations. These are groups of people who have the same beliefs, the same interests, the same passions. And the internet has made it super easy for these communities to form and talk to each other, no matter where they are in the world. Think about it. Before the internet, finding people who are into the same weird hobbies as you, it could be tough. Now, a few clicks and you're there.
He uses Magic, the Gathering players, as an example. Before the internet, it was just their local game store. Now they can connect and play with people all over the world. The internet has really broken down those physical barriers.
And what's really important for you as a marketer is that the internet lets you reach these very specific audiences pretty easily and without spending a ton of money. You don't have to rely on those big, expensive ad campaigns anymore. You can pinpoint groups of people who are already interested in what you have to offer.
And Brunson gives some practical advice on how to find these congregations online. It can be as simple as going to Google and searching for your main keywords plus words like forum or community, or looking for groups on platforms like Facebook. That's a great place to start.
Yeah, and he makes a good point about what your role should be. As the entrepreneur, you need to understand the big picture, the strategy of how to reach these groups. Once you know that, you can hire people who are experts in the specifics and the tactics. Things like running Facebook ads or making sure your website shows up in Google searches. You don't need to become an expert in every little thing yourself.
Which brings us to Brunson's talk about the 3 types of traffic that he sees as key for big growth. There's traffic you control, traffic you don't control, and the most important, traffic you own. It's a really important difference to understand for your business.
It is. Traffic you control is basically paid traffic. This is when you spend money on advertising, like on Google ads or Facebook ads or even those email solo ads. The key is that you get to decide where this traffic comes from and where it goes, usually to your landing pages or your offers.
Then you've got traffic you don't control. This is like organic reach. Things like SEO, where you're hoping people find you on Google, or social media posts that might go viral. You don't really get to choose who sees this or when.
And then there's the gold, traffic you own. This is about having direct lines of communication with your audience. Your email list is the big one here, but it also includes your social media followers, although to a lesser extent. These are the people you can talk to directly, no need to pay for ads or depend on those algorithms that are always changing.
And Brunson's message is loud and clear here. Your goal should be to build up and own as much traffic as you can. Growing your email list, getting people engaged on social media, that's the foundation for a business that keeps growing and keeps making sales in the long run.
All right, so now you're getting traffic. What's next? Well, it's figuring out how to make those people stick around and become loyal customers who actually buy stuff. This is where Brunson introduces the idea of the attractive character. This is basically the persona that you put out there to attract those perfect clients and build a following. It's about making a connection that goes beyond just talking about the features of your product or service.
It's not about being like a model or pretending you're perfect, although that might be part of it for some people. It's about being relatable, letting your personality come through, and building real trust with your audience. Brunson says this is super important, especially in markets that are super competitive, like weight loss, dating advice, or personal finance, places where people have tons of choices.
Yeah. And he talks about a time early on when he was speaking at wrestling events. He noticed that most of the people who were buying his stuff at the back of the room were guys, athletes. They connected with his story because he was a wrestler too, a student athlete. They had that in common, and that's what led to sales.
And Brunson really stresses how important it is to build this attractive character intentionally. He says it could be the difference between making $1,000 a month and $100,000 a month. That's a huge difference. It's about giving people a reason to listen to what you have to say.
He breaks down the attractive character into three parts: elements, identity, and storylines. Elements are your basic personality traits. Are you funny, serious, analytical, adventurous? Identity is about the archetype you embody. Are you the leader, the mentor, the rebel? And storylines are the stories you tell your audience.
And the key thing with those stories, Brunson says, is that they need to tie back to what you're selling. So if you're in the fitness world, you might share your story of overcoming health problems. If you're in finance, you might talk about how you learned to manage your own money. This makes it relevant. It helps people see how your experiences can help them.
But what if you don't have a personal story that fits perfectly? Brunson says that's totally fine. You can use other people's stories, your students, case studies, happy clients. He uses Jared from Subway as an example. Jared became the face of the brand without even trying because his weight loss story resonated with so many people.
He also talks about the power of using parables, those short, memorable stories that illustrate a point. Brunson's a great storyteller. He uses stories from his own life and other people's lives to teach marketing concepts. He even tells this funny story about his wrestling coach taking his money for a tape, but actually teaching him a valuable lesson about investing.
Those parables are so effective because they make complicated ideas easier to understand and remember. People remember a good story way better than a list of facts. And Brunson wants you to look for those teachable moments in your own life.
He also brings up the idea of being polarizing. He uses Howard Stern as an example. People either love him or hate him, but almost everyone knows who he is. Brunson suggests that taking a clear stance, even if not everyone agrees, can actually make more people aware of you and attract a more passionate following.
Right. And he talks about different archetypes for your attractive character, like the leader, the adventurer, the reporter who shares new discoveries, and the reluctant hero, which is what he considers his own persona, the expert who feels like they have to share their knowledge even though they don't love the spotlight.
And when it comes to creating your storylines, Brunson gives several types: your backstory, where you came from; identity stories, reinforcing who you are; parables, teaching through stories; and amazing discovery stories, like I found this incredible thing. Each type of story does something different to connect with and influence your audience.
And what Brunson tells you to do is to start putting together your own identity. Collect your stories, be open about your weaknesses because it makes you more real, and define your line in the sand, what you believe in and won't compromise on. Creating your attractive character on purpose is a powerful tool, and a lot of entrepreneurs don't even realize they're missing it.
Okay, so you've got your dream client figured out, you have your value ladder in place, you know where to find your congregations, you're focused on owning your traffic, and you're building your attractive character. What's next in Brunson's playbook? Well, he talks about the soap opera sequence for email marketing. This is all about writing a series of emails that get people intrigued and excited, building up to a sale.
What's smart about this sequence is how it's structured. It's designed to keep people reading and wanting more, just like a good soap opera keeps you watching. There are 5 main emails, each with a specific job.
The first email is all about curiosity. You want to create what he calls an open loop. You hint at something big without giving away all the details. The goal is to get them interested enough to open the next email.
Right. The second email is about your backstory, or the how. This is where you tell your story, how you discovered the solution or opportunity you're offering. It helps people connect with you and see that you've been where they are.
The third email delivers the epiphany. This is your big aha moment, the turning point. And this should naturally lead to the offer you're going to make.
Then you have the fourth email, which focuses on the hidden benefits. These are the unexpected good things that readers might not have considered. It gives them more reasons to want what you're offering.
And finally, the fifth email is all about urgency and the call to action. You give them a reason to buy now, a reason to take action. It's the final push.
And Brunson's big on making these emails easy to read. Short paragraphs, lots of white space. You want people to be able to scan them and get the main points without feeling overwhelmed.
Now he tells this really interesting story about how the TV show Seinfeld was pitched as a show about nothing. But what made it great was that it showed those relatable, everyday things we all experience. Brunson compares that to marketing, saying that those ordinary stories, when you tell them well, can be really powerful. You don't always need a big, dramatic story to connect with people.
It's a great analogy. It reminds you that being real and relatable is often better than trying to be flashy or sensational. People connect with things that feel genuine and familiar.
All right, now let's get into Brunson's core framework, the 7 phases of a funnel. He says that the difference between businesses making different amounts of money, 6 figures, 7 figures, even 8 figures, often comes down to how well you understand and use each step of your sales funnel.
What makes this framework so valuable is that he breaks the entire customer journey into manageable steps. You can look at each one and improve it to make it work better. And the very first phase is figuring out the traffic temperature. Is the traffic you're getting hot, meaning they already know and trust you? Warm, meaning they know about your area of expertise? Or cold, meaning they've never heard of you? This is super important because it changes how you talk to them and what approach you use.
Phase 2 is about setting up the pre-frame bridge. This is how you prep people before they even see your offer. It could be the ad they clicked on, the article that led them to you, the YouTube video they watched. Brunson says you need different bridges for different traffic temperatures. Hot traffic needs a short, to-the-point bridge. Warm traffic responds well to endorsements or referrals. Cold traffic needs a more in-depth bridge that builds trust and credibility. He even mentions a study from MIT about a substitute professor to show how powerful this pre-framing can be.
That study is a great example of how a simple introduction can completely change how someone perceives things. The third phase is qualifying subscribers. This is where you start trying to get those email addresses. Brunson talks about lots of ways to do this, like pop-up forms on your website, squeeze pages that offer a free thing in exchange for an email, those free plus shipping order forms requiring registration for webinars, and even giving away free accounts for software or membership sites.
Phase 4 is where you qualify buyers. This is when you start to see who's just taking your free stuff and who's actually ready to spend money. This usually happens on your sales page.
And the fifth phase is about identifying hyperactive buyers. These are the people who have an immediate need and are more likely to buy more things or spend more money. Brunson uses a funny story about bowling to explain this. He was frustrated after bowling badly, so he went online and bought a ton of new bowling gear. You want to be able to spot these motivated buyers and have the right offers for them.
So this leads to the idea of the best bait, which is your lead magnets, those free things you use to attract your ideal clients. Brunson is big on free E. He even suggests doing a 100 visitor test. If you send 100 people to your free offer, how many take it? If not many, your bait might not be good enough.
He has a great example here about his own free book, 108 Proven Split Test Winners. He offered it for free, but charged for shipping, and then he had other offers on the order form and right after. He made an average of $66 for each free book he gave away. This shows how a valuable free offer can lead to big profits later on.
And he gives specific advice for different kinds of professionals,
Yeah.
authors, coaches, consultants. They should think about what they're really good at, that secret sauce that gets results for their clients, and offer a piece of that for free. This helps attract their ideal audience, and then those people can benefit from the rest of their value ladder. He also reminds us that those funnel scripts he gives are meant to be adapted. You should personalize them with your own attractive character and your voice.
Then he gets into different sales funnels and the scripts that make them work. He talks about the two-step funnel, which is good for cheaper, more impulsive purchases where you don't need a long sales letter. Usually a short video or some text that answers the questions, who is this for? What is it? Why do they need it? How will it help them? That's all you need.
Then there's the squeeze page funnel, which is pretty simple. You start with a squeeze page that offers a free thing in exchange for their email, and then they're sent to a sales page with your main offer, often using the STAR Story Solution script.
That STAR Story Solution script is pretty in-depth, 44 elements in total, broken down into 3 parts. The STAR section is all about grabbing attention right away. You use a pattern interrupt, ask core desire questions that tap into what people really want, and then you agitate past failures to make those problems feel real.
The stories section is where you bring in your attractive character, show them at their highest high, a time of big success, then talk about their backstory wall, the tough times, clearly identify the problem they had, and finally share their big epiphany or declaration of independence, that moment when they figured things out.
And then the solution section is where you lay out the good promise of your offer, explain how it works, the mechanism, give evidence, content to support your claims, use testimonials to show that it works, list everything they get, stacking, eliminate the risk with guarantees, removing risk, create a sense of urgency, scarcity, and help them imagine the good things that'll happen after they buy, future pacing. It's a really comprehensive plan for making a convincing sales message.
Brunson also talks about continuity programs, like membership sites, as a good way to keep providing value after someone buys from you. He says yearly or lifetime access options can be really appealing and bring in consistent revenue.
He also gets into the perfect webinar, explaining how webinars are like the online version of those back-of-the-room sales pitches at events, but without the limits of location. He talks about the break and rebuild technique, which helps overcome people's doubts about buying expensive things during webinars, like the idea that they need to talk to someone on the phone before they buy. And he mentions the stack as a good way to boost sales during online presentations.
Then he talks about the invisible funnel webinar, something created by Dagan Smith. It's a cool way to quickly move people up your value ladder by actually getting them to pay a little bit to attend a webinar where you then sell them a high-ticket offer. He gives an example of charging $47 for a webinar and getting really high attendance and very few cancellations, which led to a lot of applications for high-end coaching and a lot of revenue. The key here is having a strong magic bullet promise and a risk reversal that makes it easy for people to try it.
The table of contents also lists the product launch funnel, which we don't have details on here, but it seems to be a strategy for creating hype and demand for a new product during a launch period. And then there's the high-ticket three-step application funnel, which is meant for selling expensive services, usually with a detailed application process.
And the book ends with a section called Ignite, where Brunson offers to review businesses and their funnels personally, really emphasizing that all these .com secrets can be used in the real world.
So to wrap things up for you, the main takeaways are all about thinking strategically about your customer's journey. It starts with knowing exactly who your ideal customer is, then building your offers in a smart way with a value ladder. Figuring out where your audience hangs out online is super important, and the ultimate goal is to build traffic that you own by keeping people engaged. Creating a relatable, authentic, attractive character helps you connect with people on a deeper level. And finally, structuring your sales process using those effective funnels and irresistible offers, whether it's a simple two-step approach or a more complex webinar, that's essential for sustainable growth.
And just like Dan Kennedy said at the beginning, even though it's called .com Secrets, those principles we talked about today, they apply to everyone. Online, offline, it doesn't matter. They're core marketing strategies, all about understanding your audience and giving them real value.
So here's a final thought for you. Out of all these secrets we unpacked, which one or two really resonate with you and what you're working on right now? What's one small, concrete thing you can do today to start using one of these ideas in your business? Keep exploring these concepts in your own context, and as always, we're here to answer any questions you have as you start using these principles.
All right, until next time.